Hey folks, sorry I'm not here today, but as promised, I'm going to leave you with this nice little video that's going to go over our homework, these 4 elimination problems from last night, and we're going to do 1 graphing system of equations. So what I want you to do right now is pull out your homework. Again, it was this. And I want you to go to the back of the room and grab a marker, okay? That way I can see that you did your homework and I can see that you've corrected it. So if you need to, pause this video, get on up, get your stuff together, pull out the homework, grab a marker, and we'll get started. So let's take a look at how to go about solving these. Now, the directions are to use elimination, okay? And elimination is what we've been working on this week. So looking at my first one, you can choose to get rid of x or y. Either way, your answers are going to be the same as mine. Let's say I choose to get rid of the x. So I'm saying to myself, I have a 2x and a 7x. What's a common multiple between 2 and 7? And hopefully you're thinking 14, because 2 times 7 is 14. So that means attached to one of these, I want there to be a positive 14, and attached to the other, I want a negative 14. So to do that, I'm going to take this first one, and I'm going to times it by, we'll say 7. When I do 2x times 7, I'm going to get a positive 14x. So that means this one I want to be a negative 14. So I'm going to times that one instead of just by 2, I'm going to times it by a negative 2. Now remember, in elimination, we have to send this number to all 3 pieces and this number to all 3. Don't forget, you send it to all of them. So I'm going to do some of my work to the side here. I'm going to send it to each piece. So 7 times 2 is 14x. 7 times negative y is negative 7y. 7 times 4 is 28. So be looking at your work, okay? If you didn't do yours this way, maybe you got rid of the y, it's okay. Our answer should still match at the end. Now I'm going to take my negative 2 and send it across. I'm going to have negative 14x. I can already tell they're going to eliminate negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6y, and negative 2 times 27, which is going to be a negative 54. Now that I have that done, I'm going to combine, okay, vertically. 14 minus 14 is nothing. It's eliminated. That's what I wanted to happen, so that's good. Next, I have negative 7 and negative 6. Same sign, add and keep, negative 13y equals, and then I have 28 minus 54, and that's going to be a negative number because my negative is larger, and I subtract the 2, so it's going to be negative 26. Last step, get that y alone. Divide by negative 13, divide by negative 13. I'm going to get y equals negative 2. Okay. Now you might think you're done, but you're not done. Because if we remember, we need both the x value and the y value. We got the y, we need the x. So now that we have this y, we're going to plug it back in here. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2x minus negative 2, or 2x plus 2, equals 4. Draw my wall. Minus 2 minus 2, I get 2x equals 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, I get x equals 1. So the answer to number 1 is going to be negative 2, it's x comma y. It's going to be 1 comma negative 2. And that's my solution for this first problem. Okay. Let's take a look at number 2. Okay, I'll switch up my colors so we can tell which one's which. Looking here, and if I'm very careful, I can actually make myself have less work. The easiest letter to get rid of here is going to be an x, because attached to this is a 1, right? So what multiple does 2 and 1 have in common? Hopefully you're thinking 2. So I want one of these x's to have a 2 and one of them to have a negative 2. Well, this one's already positive 2, so I don't have to do anything to that equation. I'm only going to take my bottom one and times it by negative 2. That way, 2x and negative 2x together gives me 0 x's. They'll be eliminated. I can cross them out. So I'll write these both to the side. I'm just going to keep this one exactly the same. 2x plus 7y equals 1. And then I'm going to send this here and here and here. So negative 2x, negative 10y, negative 4 as my answer. Now I combine like terms vertically. So 2 and negative 2, boom, cancel, done. Positive 7, negative 10, I get negative 3. Y equals, and then 1 minus 4 is negative 3. If I divide by negative 3 on both sides, I'm going to get that y equals 1. So again, I'm not done yet, right? I need to find the x and the y, not just one value, I need both. So I'm going to take that y and I'm going to plug it into one of these. I'm going to plug it into this one because the x is almost alone. So I'm going to have x plus 5, but instead of y, because I have the y here, I'm going to plug in 1, equals 2. Simplify this. I'm going to put my wall. 5 times 1 is 5. Minus 5 minus 5, I get x equals negative 3. So my answer for number 2 is going to be x comma y, or negative 3 comma 1. That's the coordinate pair where those two lines are going to cross. We're going to go a little quicker through 3 and 4, okay, to save a little bit of time. I know you guys want lots of time to work on your classwork, okay? So let's look at let's look at 3 real quick. I'm going to get rid of the x, so I'm going to times this whole thing by 5. I'm going to times this whole thing by a negative 4. That way I get positive 20 and negative 20. So I'm just going to do it real quick. I get 20x plus 10y equals negative 28. Just kidding, 50, 60, 70. Negative 70. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. I can already tell these are going to cancel, which is what I want to happen, okay? Then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12y equals, negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 10 is 40, and 4 times 7 is 28. So 40 plus 28, 68. Now I'm going to do my combining like terms vertically. Those cancel, which is what I want to happen. They're eliminated. 10 minus 12 is negative 2y equals, negative 2. This is a lot like that one. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, I get y equals 1. And I'm going to plug that back in. I'm going to plug it into my first one. So I'm going to have, I'll write it over here, 4x plus 2 times 1, I'm plugging in 1 for y, equals negative 14. Draw my wall, 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 4x plus 2 equals negative 14. Minus 2, they're going to be same sign, add and keep over there, negative 16. Divide by 4, I get x equals negative 4. So my x comma y for this, my x value is negative 4, and the y value is 1. Okay. Again, this is effort grade only, but I want you to see the work so that when you're doing the classwork today, you know what mistakes you maybe made, and you can avoid them, okay? All of your classwork today is going to have nice numbers, just like this homework. You shouldn't have any decimals. You might have a no solution or an infinite solution, though, okay? So keep that in mind. That's always a possibility, but that happens when our variables cancel and we're left with either 0 equals 0 or 0 equals 5, okay? And 0 doesn't equal 5. That would be a no solution. 0 does equal 0. That would be infinite or all real solutions, okay? Let's go through this last one real quick, too, okay? I notice here we have an A and a B. I'm still going to do the same work, but in my answer, I can't write it as coordinate pair because it's not an X and a Y, okay? So I'm just going to get A equals and B equals and circle those two, and I'm good to go, and you should be too. If you were confused by that, don't worry about it, okay? It's not something you have to worry a lot about. If it's not X and Y, you just can't write it as a coordinate pair. So in this one, I could get rid of 9 and 7. If you know your 9s pretty well, I'll be honest with you. I don't like 9 or 7. I don't like multiplying by either of them. They're not my strength. But I'm really good at 2 and 3, okay? So I know a common multiple, if I want to eliminate my b's this time, between 2 and 3 is going to be 6. I notice this one's already negative and this one's already positive. So they're already the signs I need them to be. I'm going to take this first one, okay? And I'm going to multiply it by something that's going to give me, I want negative 6 here. So that's going to be positive 3. I want this one to be positive 6. It's already positive, so this is going to be a positive 2. And now, quickly, I'm going to send it across to each piece, okay? If you eliminated your A's, your equations are going to look different. However, your answer should still be the same, okay? So 3 times 9 is going to be 27A. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6B. And 3 times negative 8 is going to be negative 24. 2 times 7A is going to be a negative 14A. Sorry, it was a negative 7. Plus 3, so a positive 3 times 2 is a positive 6b. Oh my gosh, I can tell they're already going to eliminate. Equals, and then slow down. 2 times 12 is 24. Okay? 27 minus 14. Okay? 27 minus 14 is going to give us 13a. Negative 6, positive 6 are eliminated. So I go to my equal sign. And then here, negative 24 and 24 together is 0. That's a number. That doesn't mean you got no solution, okay? If your letter doesn't cancel, it's still an answer. So to get rid of this 13, I'm going to divide by 13, divide by 13. 0 divided by any number is still going to be 0. So I get A equals 0. Now, in order to get my B value, I need A and B, okay? I need to take a look at my original equations. I'm going to plug it in for one of these. So I'm plugging in 0 for A. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll just use the first one. So I'm going to put 9 instead of A. I'm going to plug in 0 equals, or excuse me, minus 2B equals negative 8. Draw on my wall. Well, 9 times 0 is 0. And 0 minus 2b is just a negative 2b equals negative 8. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, I get b equals 4. So your answer here should just be a equals 0, b equals 4. If you wrote it as 0, 4, that would be okay. Usually they do the smaller letter first and then the larger if it's written like a coordinate pair, okay? But again, I'm not requiring it. If it's not x and y, then you can just put them as equal to. This would be perfectly fine. So hopefully you're feeling pretty good about elimination. And you're like, sweet, I just want to start that paper that she's going to, that she wants me to do because I'm going to rock it and I'm going to get it all right and it's great and that's going to be awesome. But I do want to take a couple minutes now and also review how do we solve system of equations that we have to actually graph, okay? So looking at this problem, how do we go about doing this? Well, we see there's two lines, okay? You're going to graph both lines on the same grid, and you're going to write where they cross each other, the coordinate pair, the x, comma, y. Our answer is always an x, comma, y. Now, I want to do this one because it looks funky. Let's start with the part that doesn't look so funky, okay? Let's start with our second equation. I can't graph this yet because in order to graph it, I need to get my y alone and positive. No, it's already positive, so you should be saying to yourself, I am not moving that y. That y is staying on that side of my equal sign. I'm going to move everything else over. So I'm going to move this 2x over there. And to move it, I'm going to minus 2x, minus 2x. This 4 does not have an x with it, so I can't put them together. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm going to graph it, okay? So this line on this grid, I'm going to start it at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go down 2, forwards 1. Remember, that negative only goes to the top, okay? Down 2, forwards 1. So down 2, forwards 1, down 2, forwards 1, down 2, okay? And connect those dots. Now, if you have another line you have to rearrange, then you should go about rearranging it and graphing it. But I can tell you, because I've seen it, because I made it, your sheet has some of these funky ones, okay? This is just one letter. X equals 1. You don't start anywhere. You don't go up, rise, and run. When you have one letter, you have to do something different. It's either a line that looks like this or a line that looks like that, horizontal or vertical. So the hint I've always talked to you about is you're going to look at the letter. You're going to go to this axis, and you're going to put a dot right there. So here's my x, right? I'm going to put a dot at 1. Now, hopefully in your head, you're like, I know what it looks like, because once you've plotted that point, like we've discussed, it's going to be opposite of the axis that it's hitting. So it's hitting a horizontal line. The line here is going to look vertical. So it's going to be a straight line. You can make a bunch of dots if you want, whatever. Okay, it's going to look like that. So you think you're done, and you are kind of done. But remember, your answer has to be where those two lines cross. They cross right there. You don't just circle it. We're going to write the coordinate pair. Our x value here is we went over 1, so we went to positive 1, and then we went up 1, 2. Our solution is 1, 2. Okay? So you have 3 of these, and then you have a bunch of the elimination since that's so new. Okay? But 3 of these just to make sure that it's somewhere in your brain still. All right? Remember, get your y alone and positive. Then your number not attached to the x is where you start, and your slope is attached to the x value. If you have one letter, go to that axis where that number is, put a dot, and it's the opposite of the axis that it's hitting. Okay, x looks like this, so it's going to be like this. The y-axis looks like this, so if you put a dot on the y, the line's going to look opposite of that. It's going to look sideways. It's going to look horizontal. Okay? So now we've gone over your homework. We've reviewed this a little bit. Make sure your name is on it and go hand it into the blue box. Put your marker away. And then grab one of the yellow sheets that has 3 graphs on it and one of the gold sheets that has a bunch of elimination on it. This is your homework / classwork. What you get done in class, you can check. I gave the sub a key, but they know that they can only tell you if your answers are right or wrong. They're not going to show you the key. Okay, I left kind of some little specific notes in there. All right, but please, 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 this is graded on correctness. So if you use your class time wisely, then it's going to be awesome because half your answers you're going to be able to correct ahead of time. You're going to know if you have them right or wrong and if you need to fix them over the weekend or not. Okay? I will see you all on Monday. Remember, we do have math on Monday, second period. So you want to have gold sheet and yellow sheet finished for Monday, graded on correctness. Do your best. Okay? Thank you, folks. Have a great class. Please, 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 please behave. Okay? Thanks.